Coming up this week on The Week in Business, the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria holds 16th edition of the annual Banking and Finance Conference at the Abuja Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel. Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry holds 2023 Agro Fair Exhibition and Symposium at the Adeyemo Bello Auditorium, Alausa Secretariat, Ikeja, Lagos. Anambra Investment Summit 2023 holds at the International Convention Center, Oka, Anambra State, organized by the Anambra Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. Welcome to this week's edition of The Week in Business, where we share with you some of the major events in the world of business in Nigeria in the past week. I am Tyra Akino. It's great to have you join us on the program today. To begin the event's highlight for this week is the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria's 16th Annual Banking and Finance Conference, which held at the Congress Hall, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, and virtually. The conference themed Nigeria's economic growth and empowerment, the role of the financial services industry, saw the gathering of key sector personnel and captains of the financial industry. Take a look.
It's with great honor and delight that I welcome you all to this 16th Annual Banking and Finance Conference of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. This annual event, which has grown to become the largest gathering of banking and finance professionals in Africa, has been a veritable platform for stakeholders in the banking and finance ecosystem to come together to drive conversation on topical issues that are critical to the growth and stability of the country, with a view to providing insightful solutions that will impact the entire system and the economy at large. This year's edition is, however, unique, as the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria is celebrating its 60th anniversary. We are celebrating 60 years of upholding ethics and professionalism, 60 years of capacity building, 60 years of supporting the economy. Thank you. The themes for this year's conference: Nigeria's economic growth and empowerment, the role of the financial services industry, is indeed very apt, as it resonates with the context of our current reality and amplifies the fact that agenda setting for the country must be a continuous exercise, especially now that we have the new government in place. Important to also state that this theme resonates with the current administration's reform agenda.
It really was, when Dr. Opara and the Council of CIBN and the organizing committee asked if I would give this keynote speech, I was taken aback. I said, what would I have to say to such a distinguished audience of bankers, of financial industry stakeholders? And I said, you do know that even though we have the word bank in our name, the World Bank is not really a bank. So I certainly am not a banker. The World Bank is a development cooperative. And yes, we do provide financing for Nigeria, concessional financing. And over the last 3 years, our board has approved over, I think, $10.5 billion in concessional financing for Nigeria. But really, my aspiration has always been that we will be seen as trusted partners here to help Nigeria achieve the kind of potential it has, that you heard DK talk about, the kind of potential that I think everyone in this room recognizes. So it's really, this is an opportunity for us to share some of our take on what it would take for Nigeria to achieve that potential, coming at it not from the kind of inside perspective that all of you certainly have, but just putting it more in the global context, the kind of, and in my case in particular, learning from experiences of Indonesia, where I spent 5 years, India, where I'm from, and these are Nigeria's peers, and to think what could, just putting Nigeria's experience in that context. Let me get started by saying that I wanted to begin by first quickly going through taking stock, just reminding ourselves of where Nigeria is at right now before we look forward to how, given the really bold steps that His Excellency President Tinubu, Vice President, have taken in the first few weeks and months, what the new course would be for Nigeria.
I'm rather in a very amusing dilemma today. On the one hand, I wish to dedicate this moment to catching up with my former colleagues and their interventions in stabilizing the financial services industry. On the other hand, the exigencies of the nation now occupy my foremost thoughts. But I'm only going to forgo this nostalgia for a moment. I wish to extend my gratitude to the esteemed body of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria for not only the honor of inviting me home, but also for their choice of theme for this conference. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to begin by acknowledging your presence here in person. The COVID-19 pandemic illuminated this industry as unsung heroes on the global stage. When the wheels of the world seemed to grind to a halt, from Abuja to Zurich, it was the financial services industry that upheld the fragile equilibrium of economies worldwide. So it's imperative to recognize that the vitality of this industry transcended mere profit. It was a lifeline upon which even our valiant medical personnel depended for their own survival in those dark hours, as we all do now. So thank you for being ahead of the times. Nigeria's financial services are not only in tune with the times and incorporate innovative and digital technology to offer world-class services and promote inclusion for local and foreign customers, but they are also critical drivers of the economy. Understanding the linkages between this sector and the real economy is essential for policymakers who aim to manage economic stability and growth. And I must assure you that in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you have found a friend and an ally.
The conference was indeed an interesting one, as you saw. We hope for greater accomplishments ahead for the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria and the Nigerian banking and finance industry in its entirety. For farmers and agricultural value chain professionals, it was yet another time of the year to network, showcase your products and services, and increase sales at the 2023 Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry Agro Fair Exhibition and Symposium, which held at the Adeyemo Bero Auditorium, Alausa Secretariat, Ikeja, Lagos. The fair, organized annually by the Agriculture and Allied Sectorial Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, saw this year's edition titled Food Security and National Development. Enjoy.
So the theme is on food security, sustainable food security for national growth. And this is my introduction. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, women make up 43% of the labor force in agriculture worldwide. We have a male-dominated culture, 250 tribes, 250 cultures. And all of them, without exception, do not recognize women as equal. True or false? I know the men will not answer, but it's obvious. They do not consider, you need to see the argument when we are talking about gender equality. Now fight. But that is one of the reasons why we are where we are. And then there is no data to capture the contributions of these women, especially because some of those 70% of contribution, some of those 70% of labor is not paid for. You are my family member. You are working in the farm. Now you and I go chop am. It is your children we are doing it for. So they don't get paid for it. As a result of that, data does not capture that. Data does not capture the weeding. Data does not capture the collection. Data does not capture the harvest. Data does not capture the planting. Data doesn't do all of that because they are not paid. But I tell you, when we have our modern farms now, and the labor that we pay for are men, and they can see from our records that we pay them a salary. The women are not paid salary. So data doesn't capture them. A lot of the time, women have not been able to articulate their problems well. So we are murmuring, we are gossiping, we are blaming, you know, and we are not able to get our representation out. Even we have a Ministry of Women Affairs at the state level and at the federal level, and they have not still been able to bring our issues to the, to the front burner. It's a big problem, and that is why our contributions are not recognized.
Now to a major one, the 2023 Anambra Investment Summit, organized by Anambra Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. The summit took place at the International Convention Center in Oka, Anambra State, with the theme laying the foundation for a prosperous and smart megacity. It aims to bring together key players and relevant stakeholders to explore strategies aimed at achieving inclusive economic growth and collaborate on investment opportunities in Anambra State, and it did just that.
How do you unlock and develop financing for bankable investments, to create the kinds of jobs that Anambra's youth want? The textbook version, I think, is very clear. Bankable means that private investors see a commercially viable, but not just commercially viable, commercially attractive opportunity to set up operations or to expand operations. Yes, it is always good if there is an added social dimension to it, but let's be real. At the end of the day, it has to be commercially attractive. So the textbook version or the technical version is quite clear. You have to think about, okay, what's the competitive advantage of locating in Anambra? A pharmaceutical firm has the choice of setting up a plant in Anambra or Ogun. What's the calculation that goes on? Part of it will be about proximity to market, so you have to define the market, as we heard. Part of it has to do with the infrastructure that's available. So this is why it's very key to hear about the roads, the power, the the digital connectivity. That's the kind of infrastructure that's key for a whole range of economic activity. Part of it, and a big part of it, often not appreciated, is the clarity and consistency in the policies, regulations that they will have to deal with. That certainty above all is key. So the textbook version says that, and then sometimes an opportunity might be viable with a little bit of an added kind of incentive or some de-risking or some subsidization of the upfront capex so all of that, the textbook version is quite clear, and I hope, and certainly what I heard this morning is that in terms of implementing the textbook version, Anambra has gone about it in exactly the right way, providing, thinking about the complementary investments, informing potential investors about what Anambra has to offer in terms of competitive advantage, in terms of its people, in terms of its, kind of key location as a transit hub between different parts of the country.
We're going to be starting with Dr. George Nwagu, the concessionaire of the Onitsha River Port. We've been working with him, discussing with him over the last 3-4 months, and we want to today sign an agreement where Anambra State Government, with the governor represented, will be supporting, giving the project all the support to ensure the dredging of the River Niger is achieved as soon as possible, because Onitsha River Port must take off. Please, George Nwagu, where are you? Just come up, please. Christian Ikebudu. For those who don't know what we're doing here, Mr. Governor in his manifesto, he's here. Mr. Governor in his manifesto promised that he will expand PPP to include the community partnership. In the Anambra, we have great people who have done amazing things around the world, all looking for ways to contribute back to their... Yes, I know they are here, sir. All looking for ways to contribute to developing their community. So this is a PPCP, where the state, the private sector, and the community, Neni community, are going to be providing water, potable water via pipe-borne water to over 2,500 households and companies in Neni. This is the first time we've done this. Thank you. Is Oma Motors ready? After Oma Motors, we'll be signing with NKO Agro Park. Can you please come here, come on board? Can GVE Electrification Company and come to the stage? Can Ebele Enunwa of the Sundry Markets Limited also come to the stage? to build an Agro institute, to also build a yam processing plant to export back to America and other European markets. Thank you very much, Cordelia. Omamoto, sorry. But as part of the agreement, she gets 50 hectares of land on lease for 25 years for her agro play, and also support with the acquisition of another 70 hectares for the development of an agro institute, similar to IITA, but in Anambra this time, Bayoya Anambra in Anambra State. So everybody in diaspora who's watching, Anambra is open for your investment. And we are ready to partner. The government of Governor Soludo is ready for partnerships.
So we've just finished signing 13 of them. And they told me before we sign any of this, we've done the due diligence of it. The master plan will be out, the real master plan and the feasibility study and the master plan will be out. Pretty soon, the industrial master plan to be out. Then the investors, those who are putting in their money, we're expecting that by this time next year, when we meet again, we should be able to give you a progress report on all of this and many more that we will sign in the coming weeks. Those that we have signed already, 7 estate developers have been signed on to develop various sub-cities of Oka. The new Oka, where we call the new Oka, I mean, beginning with the Millennium Estate down, we have signed another 7 of them to make them a total of 8 new sub-cities that will make what we call the new Oka city. For the ADB, Afrexim Bank, I was telling our sister, because what I signed here now, I saw the dotted lines of a commitment of about $200 million. So I said, when I am sleeping tonight, I will be dreaming of the $200 million. And when we are going to unlock this, because I know the $200 million will even unlock several billions to come. And we take up the issue of the diaspora bond, the $250 million diaspora bond, where we'll get to see where all of this, to launch this, as well as I'm sure the next panel will be discussing the issue of financing. Quite a lot of a mix of financing options that we'll have. But with this now, by the time we meet next year, we will give you a progress report on where about 13 today plus 7 we signed before, that's 20 already, and we'll give you a progress report then on where we are with them and where we are with regards to these industrial cities that were the pharmaceutical industrial city, the automotive industrial park, and the mixed-use industrial city. I want to thank you very much, and to say to the rest of Anambra who are still itching and preparing their projects, once you are ready, once you can show us the color of the money, come. If you are ready with the project and it is bankable and you are still thinking about the money thing, maybe we can walk hand in hand with you to the financiers and we can talk. Thank you very much and God bless you.
And that'll be all for the event highlights on the Week in Business for the week. But before we go, let's take a look at the events happening next week. And don't forget to save the dates. All right, that's it on today's episode of The Week in Business. Thank you very much for watching. For more business, finance, and economy content, follow us on all our social media platforms at WebTVNigeria and visit our website www.poshare.co. Thank you once again for watching. I am Taiwo Akinawo. Till next week, enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a pleasant week ahead.